Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome to the debut episode of Blockchain and Beyond. My name is Farzan and I will be your host for this series. So as it is the first episode of this podcast, it only makes sense to give you guys a bit of an insight into myself, my background, who I am, and where I hope to take this podcast. So here we go. My name is Farzan. I was born and raised in London, and I'm currently working as a cybersecurity analyst after the completion of an undergraduate and master's in computer science with cybersecurity. I've had an interest in cryptocurrencies and blockchain pre-2016 when I had read up on them online, and in 2016 I submitted some college assignments using Bitcoin and its economic viability as the main focus. And really within the past 3 to 4 years, I've really found an interest in understanding this technology from reading white papers and tokenomics papers, to also understanding where cryptocurrencies can fit into our wider world. And when I say cryptocurrencies, these are just one application of blockchains, whereas the application of blockchains go really far out. Now, if anything I said went over your head, you're in luck, because this episode will cover exactly what blockchains and cryptocurrencies are, how they work, where we might see them in our day-to-day lives, and I'm hoping that everyone, even those without a huge technical understanding, will be able to take something away from it. So, starting off with the idea of blockchains. Blockchains are just another way of storing data where we have a full history of everything that has ever been written on it. And they also possess a few qualities. The first being immutability. That means it is impossible to rewrite anything that has already happened on the blockchain. That data will forever exist within the blockchain. Secondly, blockchains operate as a distributed system, meaning no one person can control the network. Rather, it is an almost group effort to maintain the system. And finally, a lot of the security and trust systems in a blockchain are maintained not only through the previous properties, but also some ideas such as consensus algorithms, which we will discuss later on in this episode. Now, what I like to do when explaining blockchains is to split the concept into two parts. The first being the block part, which refers to a set of data over a period of time or data up to a certain limit. There's technically no restriction on what the data is, but generally it is some sort of transactional information. The second part is the chain, and perhaps the most interesting part of the technology. In a blockchain, the data is run through a mathematical function called a hashing algorithm to generate a unique reference to that block of data, and this reference is used inside of the data for the next block. So in practicality, what this means is if I'm looking at a set of data, there will be a part of this data which tells me what happened before, and it will take me to a set of data which represents that. As a result, this set of data that I'm looking at now will also have a reference to the set of data which happened before, and so on and so forth. This what makes it a chain. We have a complete unbroken chain of everything that has ever occurred on the blockchain, and that covers the main concept of it and what makes it quite unique to other technologies that we may have seen. As I mentioned earlier, blockchains are immutable. Combined with the fact that we have a full history of everything that's going on, it can make it some of the most reliable sources of data. We can see from the very beginning who has written data, how has that data changed over time, and the current state that it's in. And different blockchains handle this in different ways. So on certain blockchains, when somebody wants to write some data, they must solve a complex equation involving the use of a hashing function. This process requires the computer to do a lot of calculations, but it inevitably proves that it has done enough work to prove to others that this is some sort of truth. At this point, the data is written to the blockchain and will be accepted by others. And that covers the immutability property. The next property that is the blockchain operates as a distributed system. This means that those who want to contribute and directly write to the blockchain generally keep a copy of the latest version of the blockchain stored locally. This removes the reliance on any given entity, as new joiners of the network can query everyone else on the state of the blockchain to understand what's going on. In practice, what this means is if a number of entities who operate the blockchain were to go offline, the system would still function as normal, or in the worst case, slightly slower. Finally, we can discuss some of the security and trust systems built into the network and blockchain. So some blockchains function as permissionless systems, meaning that anybody can contribute and take part. The issue this raises is that I may not trust the other users on the blockchain, and other users may not trust me, which is almost natural, seeing as the only way to identify me is through a seemingly random alphanumeric value associated with my account or wallet. So this is where the idea of consensus comes into play. And consensus isn't anything new. We see it all the time, like in presidential or mayoral elections, or deciding where to eat out with friends. It's just a system that enables us to agree on something. And in the case of Bitcoin, the person or the user who solves the complex mathematical problem first is allowed to write to the blockchain, which is accepted by the other users, as that person would have done a lot of work or calculations towards solving that equation. This naturally leads to the proof of work consensus algorithm, which was first seen on Bitcoin, but we have also seen it on Ethereum, Litecoin, and others. And that covers the security aspect of it. And now we're gonna look at some of the applications of blockchain technology. The most popular application of blockchain technologies at the moment is cryptocurrencies. So the crypto part of the name cryptocurrencies derives from an area of mathematics known as cryptography, but it is now, crypto is often associated with the idea of cryptocurrencies itself. And a lot of us have heard about cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. However, not everyone is fully aware of how they work or what they are even. So all cryptocurrencies are digital currencies. They're currencies where there's no physical tangible asset to it, how similar to how we have euros or pounds or dollars, we can have banknotes or we have coins in our pocket. These do not exist with cryptocurrencies, and all cryptocurrencies generally exist on some sort of a blockchain. So in the case of Bitcoin mainly operates on the Bitcoin blockchain. Ether or Ethereum operates on the Ethereum blockchain or ecosystem, and so on and so forth. It's almost how we use dollars in America, or we use pounds in the UK, or we use euros in Europe, or most of Europe rather. Each cryptocurrency has a native blockchain or platform where it is used. And the value of these cryptocurrencies are often associated with local currencies such as dollars, euros, pounds, or many of the other currencies available to us. However, the application for these cryptocurrencies goes just beyond sending them to one another as payment. On some blockchains, the native coin can function as a means to carry out automated actions when certain requirements are met. These are known as smart contracts and will function similarly to contracts that we may see in our day-to-day lives, like employment contracts or rental agreements. They outline a set of rules which both parties must adhere by, with sets of terms and rules and agreements. However, the main difference being that they are written in computer code and will come into effect automatically when certain conditions are met. And these enable us to create complex applications which are finding their way into modern industries such as real estate, music, and finance, to create not only faster systems but systems which will enable everyone to take part. The applications for blockchains also go much deeper, but it would almost be out of scope for this episode. So I hope everything that I've gone through so far makes sense. And just for a quick recap, so a blockchain is a way of storing data in such a way where each set of data is mathematically linked to the previous set of data. Blockchains are also enabled by some properties such as being a distributed system, by being immutable, and also their consensus algorithms, which enable security and trust. We then also visited the ideas of cryptocurrencies, which are digital currencies used within certain blockchains and are not just used for transactions, but automated applications as well, which can make a lot of our day-to-day lives a lot more easier. And I think that covers everything from me for today. I've had a blast recording this episode, especially seeing as it is my first episode, and I sincerely hope that everyone was able to take something away. If not, or if you do have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me via social media, which will all be linked with this episode's information. And until next time, goodbye.